this video with voice commentary, and the voices got distorted by the background music, so I have to redo this whole video. Female genital mutilation is a very serious but unchronic condition. Or is it? First, let's define female genital mutilation. It is the process of manipulating a female's genitals so that it is virtually inoperable or broken. And this is a picture of a common practice in a small tribal village, due to religious beliefs, but more so due to lack of education into these matters. So, but is it the only reason that female genital mutilation happens? Let's explore a deeper version of this problem. The parts of a flower on this planet are given. Males have petals and ovaries on their stigmas, and males have anther and filament on their coming out of their stems. In the case of the cannabis plant, you have the male and the female flower growing on the same plant, with no flower having both male or female organs. Here how the differences are far more apparent in animals than in plants. This is the human male and female versions of these humans, and these are ants. The queen ant is much bigger than the male or the worker ant, and the queen ant is responsible for producing the worker female ants. These differences in gender also lead to different roles as expressed in the ant kingdom, and are less pronounced in the societies of larger animals. In this case, you compare the traditional male and female gender roles. The male is supposed to be the strong warrior, and the female is supposed to be aesthetically pleasing, and natural in her motions, whereas the male is supposed to be sharp, jagged, and abrasive by nature in history. In history, females were not allowed to serve military roles, and also they were not allowed to receive education. Now, before I referred to a flower as having male and female organs. This is called a perfect flower. These are the first flowers that ever evolved, that eventually branched off, as some flowers somehow lost some of their components, becoming either male or female respectively. They either lost their pollination centers for pollinating other flowers through cross-pollination, or they lost their ovaries, which were able to produce fruit or seeds to eventually produce other flowering fruiting bodies. So let's see another very similar kind of genetic mutation. Let's refer to an episode of Star Trek where two people introduced themselves. These people have white on one side of their face and black on the other, and these other people who have been slaves to these people for a long time are black on the other side of their face and white on the other side of their face. And the problem and the strife between these two people becomes so great that they end up destroying the entire planet. The entire planet goes up in flames, and and it is due to this political strife. This is an example of chimerism. Um, this kind of chimerism is expressed in gender, which means that even though the organism itself does not exhibit chimerism, the species, and almost every single one of these species, animal species, but much less so plant species, express two different kinds of beings with two completely different facilities and functions within the same being, instead of having perfect flowers. Animals are also not known to cross-pollinate, and I don't really know why, but the males or females must hunt down their opposing gender in order to physically mate at their specific location. Getting to the root of things, this is an X-ray optical tomography of the XY chromosome set. This is the first X chromosome, and this is the Y chromosome. The first X chromosome looks similar to the second X chromosome, but it is very different in the component of it in terms of genes. I should have made this bigger. This is the Hox gene map of the Y chromosome. It is very simple. Here you have all the genes that are encoded into a standard Y gene, in the standard Y chromosome. This is the effect of what this does to the body. This is what a person is supposed to look like. This is what happens when the X chromosome is implemented. This is the end result between the genders. I say that this is what they're supposed to look like for reasons that will be covered later in this section. First, before I get into what it actually does, let's get into why it actually does this. This is a picture of an ant's nest being excavated by humans. Ants are monoproductive, which means once fertilized, the queen will produce all the members of a single colony. This does not mean ant queens cannot coexist with each other. Colonies can be superimposed onto each other to create bigger colonies. On the other hand, humans have many pairs of very small families, because the mammalian reproductive capability is very, very slow compared to ant or bee capability. This is a picture of a male cell extending its flagellum to fertilize the female cell. This is the case where these cells have specific male and female counterparts that interact with each other in this way. Much like the influenza virus, the host waits until it is infected and its body reproduces copies of genetic material, just like as if it was an infection. This is a double fertilizing cell. Both these cells are perfect flowers. They each have male and female components. The male component of one cell is being transferred to the body cavity of the other cell, where it will interfere with its DNA structure shown here in green, in order to produce copies of itself. And this condition is preferred, but it had not been prevalent in evolution for some strange reason. It is preferred by me because both cells can fertilize each other and therefore reproduce at double the rate, and they can speciate much faster because either cell, if moved to different environments, may be able to still fully reproduce by themselves. Species that can operate in either environment. This could have been what originally caused the speciation from a double fertilizing cellular organism to a single fertilizing cellular organism, where a cellular organism then moved to two different environments and speciated into something that could produce cells that couldn't reproduce, for instance, and they somehow came to dominate the modern reproductive